All right. The one positive aspect of Ohio train derailment is that people are freaking out about safety measures. I never in my lifetime would have thought. I never in my lifetime would have ever thought that this would happen, where people would be like really agitated about implementing safety measures. So,
welcome back to CBS
net benefit,
Mornings.
I
It's
guess.
been nearly 3 weeks since a
I'm gonna
fiery
pee. I'll be
train
back.
derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, exposed an entire community to potentially hazardous chemicals. Now the EPA says it's taking over the cleanup process and ordering rail operator Norfolk Southern to pay for it. Now there are calls for change to make sure nothing like this ever happens again. But the question now is, how did this happen in the first place? Roxana Sabiri has been looking into that, and she's in Youngstown, Ohio. Roxana, good to see you. People there have a lot of questions still.
They do. Good morning, Gail. The NTSB report detailing the causes of this incident is not expected for another year or so. But there are several factors in the ways trains operate across the country that could have contributed to this disaster. A disaster that has left many people in this community frustrated and scared.
It was a waste of 2 hours.
A waste?
Well, sure.
Matthew Stokes, who works near the site of the toxic train derailment, says the state's new medical clinic didn't help him with his headache or chest pain.
I did talk to the toxicologist. There's nothing they can do.
While people here wait to learn about possible health risks, officials are stepping up pressure on Norfolk Southern.
In the face of Norfolk Southern's arrogance and incompetence, I want you to know we are fighting back.
EPA Administrator Michael Regan announced he was ordering the rail operator to pay for the whole cleanup of East Palestine or suffer the consequences.
If the company fails to complete...
It's so serious. Trump brought in the Ohio big boys for his conference. Oh, my God. Oh, dude, that's how you know. That's how you know shit's serious. I mean, this is a massive beefy ass L for the Biden administration. Like literally having like toxic chemical clouds visible from fucking Pennsylvania that are coming out of Ohio, making this like through independent media and through social media, making this like the top news story domestically. Okay? Never really fully addressing it and never even like showing face, and then having a speech in Ukraine and then in Poland, okay, while Trump is in Ohio. I mean, are you trying to lose? Is that what's going on? Because you're doing a great job. I mean, this is Democrats just running against themselves, okay? Like, do I think Trump gives a shit about Ohio? Absolutely not. Trump is directly responsible, more so than the Democratic administrations that came before it and came after, with respect to deregulation. He did deregulation from top to bottom, but it doesn't fucking matter. This pic was confirmed real a bit ago. Pretty neat. Deputy Pentagon Secretary Sabrina Singh confirmed the following photo is authentic and was indeed taken by a U-2 pilot flying over the Chinese spy balloon. Nice. I talked about this yesterday. This is something I've been talking about for a long time now. Okay? I talked about this years ago when Tucker Carlson started adorning leftist aesthetics to talk about like labor rights, when in fact all he cares about is not socialism or improving the material conditions of workers. He is a trust fund child with a bow tie who absolutely fucking despises the working poor. He just cares about, implementing WASP nationalism. But if the Democrats don't fill that void, someone will. And when they fill that void, when they fucking fill that void, they will fill it with a whole bunch of bullshit. They will fill it for nefarious reasons. No voter in Ohio cares that Trump caused this. We will care that Biden never showed up. Him and DeWine both are absolutely just botched Ohio. Yeah. I don't know how to describe this other than, just the Democrats doing their very best to make sure that they do not get reelected. Will this ultimately be a permanent scar on Pete Buttigieg's career? Probably. Will this be a permanent scar on Biden's career? Probably not. I don't know.
complete any action ordered by EPA, the agency will immediately step in, conduct the work ourselves, and then force Norfolk Southern to pay triple in cost.
But the kind of train that derailed in East Palestine highlights a growing cost-cutting strategy in the rail industry, known as precision scheduled railroading, which seeks to streamline rail operations by lengthening.
Blame Biden more when Republicans don't want government intervention. Make up your fucking mind, victims. Wait, what? No, I blame Biden for doing bad policy and bad politics. Republicans do bad policy, but also do good politics. Okay? This is a moment where the Republicans who have done bad policy are doing good politics to hide the bad policy that they've done and literally shift the blame over to the Democrats who ostensibly are supposed to be on the better side of policy, even though usually they're not, okay, but are doing such dog shit abysmal politics that it doesn't fucking matter.
Lengthening trains while cutting the workforce. The train that derailed on February 3rd stretched 9,300 feet long, weighed a whopping 18,000 tons, and had around 150 cars.
How would you address this trend?
Look, this has been part of a drive by these multi-billion-dollar companies to wring every penny of profit out of the rail system. They have cut their workforce massively, including safety positions, including maintenance positions.
Between 2011 and 2021, the number of workers at the largest U.S. rail companies decreased by 28%. Over the same period of time, net revenue.
I don't think that liberal journalists are doing as bad as a job. I think Alan is so hyper-focused because this is like his main thing. Okay? I don't think liberals are doing as bad a job as like Alan is stating, liberal media at least, because they are legitimately talking about profits going up, as we're seeing in the fucking article right now. They're doing a great job talking about how profits have gone up. They're doing a great job talking about how they have avoided listening to the fucking reasonable demands made by railway unions. Maybe not as much that, but at least they show that the labor force has been downsized, right? You see this. Look at this. Trump speaking at a Hilton in Palm Beach criticized Biden for going to Ukraine, but not Ohio. You might recall that Trump was impeached for trying to extort the Ukrainian government. No one cares about this. Like, the funniest part about that entire story is that Trump literally was like, yeah, we'll keep giving you arms, as they did, okay? But just like, you got to find dirt, which is definitely an impeachable offense. That was a violation for sure, right? But you can't cover a Trump W like this when he's literally right, okay? When he's completely correct, and it looks awful from the perspective of average Americans, okay? When you're doing politics. He meant NATO, not just Ukraine. Yeah, good luck, globeheads. Explain that to dudes living in fucking Pennsylvania and Ohio. I don't even agree with it too. Like I don't even agree with that attitude anyway. Sorry, you silly, pathetic losers. You don't understand. He met with NATO, and that's really important. Like, the fuck are you talking about? There was a time and place when there were liberals in the Democratic Party who talked about how military spending was absolute bananas. and that we need to do something about it to make sure that we help our citizens instead of continue bloodshed overseas. That's long gone. Post 9/11, there is none of that, okay? It's crazy. Look.
Done in 2 years. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And even now you have a president going to Ukraine, and you have people in Ohio that are in desperate need of help. And I was very proud to say that I announced I was going to Ohio. You know, FEMA said we're not going to give them anything. The Biden administration said we're not going to give them anything. And then I announced I'm going. Please sit down.
Look at that. Look, a kernel of truth and a whole bunch of lies wrapped up around it. But it doesn't matter because the kernel of truth is there. He went to Ohio. Biden went to Kyiv. Okay? The lies are FEMA didn't want to give anything to fucking Ohio. That's a lie. Okay? That was directed by Mike DeWine, the governor. The Republican governor of Ohio was the one who denied the actual fucking help from the government. Okay? But hey, you get to dominate the narrative like this if you can just openly state this shit. You get to dominate the narrative. You can be literally the guy who not only advocates for DeWine, you can be the guy who advocates for deregulation and successfully gets deregulation. You know what I mean? Reversing an Obama-era decision, for example, that deregulated the railroads, as we talked about, as the railroad companies, as we talked about. And you can still get to make this argument, and most people will believe you because you're there. You went there. They successfully caused the problem and then turned around, Republicans, I mean, they successfully caused the problem. Democrats are not infallible in this either, but if you're looking at it strictly from a Republican perspective, they caused the problem almost directly. Their ideology is directly responsible for this, deregulation is, okay? Then they turned around and shifted it to a culture war narrative. They slided the fucking conversation away from deregulation to a culture war narrative. These are white people in Ohio. These are hardworking, white working class people that have been left behind by the bi-coastal elitist Democrats. Okay? They slid that convo neatly into a white people are under attack and the Democrats don't give a fuck about it box. Okay? And meanwhile, the Democrats are doing nothing to combat it. They didn't do a good job trying to combat it. It's not that the Republicans are exceptional at reframing narratives. I mean, they're pretty good because they want to win and they don't have a lot of support and their ideas suck. So they have to do everything they can to win and they're going to play dirty. But Democrats, on the other hand, don't want to win. They love the situation that they're currently in where they have like no real meaningful control so that they could just throw their hands up in the air and say, oh, fuck, we can't do anything about it. That's it. That's where we're at. That is precisely the reason why Democrats are losing this conversation, just like every other fucking convo. Libs are pro-war. They just want a war they can feel good about. And they started to learn too much about the wars in the Middle East. A lot of them still feel really good about intervention in Syria. They feel good about all the wars. They don't give a shit. Or they just don't care. The Dems legit don't care about working class people at all. And if the Republicans can pretend like they do for good PR, they will. Yeah. Help me understand. You were criticizing Biden for not going to Ohio or for going to Ukraine. Biden's visit to Ukraine means the world to me as a Ukrainian. It means we are not getting abandoned. Brother, you are not getting abandoned one way or the other, okay? You're getting $111 billion of weapons. Like, clearly you're not getting abandoned, okay? But no, I'm criticizing Biden not for going to Ukraine. I don't give a shit. Of course he's going to go to Ukraine. You know, that's a show of support. That's fine. But Ohio is literally in your fucking backyard. You couldn't just go to Ohio even for, you know, a symbolic reason. You couldn't even go to Ohio. It's like 300 miles away, brother. You can't go to Ohio before you, before you fly out to Ukraine. It's been a month. Do you see what I'm saying? Can he go to Ohio and go to Ukraine? Yes, yes, he can do that. Chatter. My Ukrainian chatter friend. He can do that. That's what I'm criticizing. I'm not saying, why the fuck did you go to Ukraine? I don't give a shit. Of course he's going to go to different countries. Like, he's the president, right? There's a part of, like, soft power, hard power, all this shit. But I'm pretty sure he could go to Ohio at a certain point, too. I mean, he could have gone to Ohio and then flown from Ohio to Ukraine. Trump would have never visited a blue state is also not right. He actually went to California when the wildfires were happening. And remember, he was talking about how, like, you gotta sweep the floors. So that's so dumb. That's not the case. He definitely will go to blue states and shit. Why? Because he wants to win, motherfucker. That's the difference. They had to sneak his ass into Ukraine on a train. They can't fly him to Ohio. That's what I mean. Why would Dems want to win? They benefit from Republican policies. They benefit from their position as champions of the moral high ground. It's a win-win to lose. Yeah. I personally don't care that he didn't go to Ohio. I get that dumb Americans won't understand, but they don't understand most things already. Wait. But that's not how you do politics, man. You do dumb shit all the time. Why the fuck do people go to Iowa? You think anyone gives a fuck about Iowa? No. Why do you go and eat a hot dog at the fair, you know? You think that genuinely shows that you give a fuck? It's so funny. Democrats and Republicans do this too. They go to black churches. Okay? Once every fucking 4 years, they step foot inside of a goddamn black neighborhood and they go to the fucking black church one time. Okay? They throw up the fist and then they fuck right off. And it's like, what? You think that means they give a fuck about black people? No. You're doing it to get support. And people are so desperate and so starving for like any kind of assurances that the government still does care about them that they eat it up. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh man, these people are dumb. Fucking fuck them. Make them learn the truth. It's like, you know, that's not the way to go about it. If you do that, you get an easy political optics win. Otherwise, the Republicans will take that easy W. Exactly. Right now, you can very easily hit so many different angles on how the Biden administration fucked up. They broke the strikes that the railroad workers were pushing for. They offered them none of the things that they asked for. Okay. They strong-armed the labor unions in that regard. And then like a month later, a massive derailment occurred that has now created a new cancer cluster in Ohio. Then they didn't even fucking turn around and like say anything about it until, you know, it became national news because everyone on TikTok was freaking out about it because it was like it wasn't the invisible kind of pollutant that destroys your body every day. It's not the microplastics that we're consuming. It was visible, right? So it was more tangible. It was more identifiable, and people understandably freaked the fuck out about it. Okay? And then, even then, they basically just tweeted about it and didn't do anything. And Republicans will always take advantage of a PR opportunity. They will never let a crisis go to waste. The problem with the situation is that the GOP can virtue signal and claim it's Biden's fault as if they didn't have also broken the rail strike and deregulated the industry to shit. Biden is the face of it because he's president now. Yeah, Biden fucked up when he also did not reinstitute the Obama era policies. Biden also absolutely fucked up when he did not, when he could have used his power, his influential power from the bully pulpit, to force the railroad companies to listen to the reasonable demands that the railroad workers, the labor unions, were pushing for. Okay? Supposedly the most pro-fucking labor president, right? And then they didn't even do, so that's the policy failures, right? Like, because I said, Democrats love doing bad policy, but they also do bad politics. And the bad politics of this process is not going to fucking, to Ohio at all. Not even showing face, not even giving assurances to the people saying, hey, listen, look alive, Jack. You might be a post-industrial town that everyone left behind, but I, as the president, will not leave you behind. But he didn't do that. This is like below bare minimum at this point. You're basically asking, you know, the president to fake being president. Like, what's up? You want to just like lose Ohio forever? Why did you focus on building a microchip center there then? You know what I mean? How are you gonna ever win these people over? Motherfuckers that work at the goddamn facilities that you are opening up, that you're literally using congressional power to open up and subsidies to open up, are gonna turn around and vote for Donald Trump. Good job. Meanwhile, what you could have done is ensure that these facilities, especially these facilities that are getting government subsidies, right, have to have at least card check or some form of like labor union provisions. Like you could have just said, hey, listen. Like in a beautiful, perfect world, anytime you get government subsidies for your industry, whether it be the oil and gas industry, whether it be microchips, whether it be fucking I don't know, anything, like literally any auto manufacturing plant, Tesla, right? You have to offer your workers unconditionally the right to, okay, even if it's just a symbolic procedure. You have to offer your workers the right to unionize. You can do that. But they don't do that because they don't give a shit. They don't want to do that. That goes against the Democratic Party's interests. Right? Could have done that for the Ohio factories that you're opening up, but you're not doing that. Right? I'm not even saying force them to be unionized. You know what I mean? Because, like, that'll never happen. I mean, that's too perfect of a world. Just force them to at least as a starting point, suggest, do a fucking roll call on how many people anonymously want to join a labor union. You know what I mean? That's something that you could demand. Authoritarian unions, let's go. I mean, you can do that. You can do a card check. You can make that as a provision. I'm sure that like Republicans would fight it tooth and nail. Alec and everyone else would like go fucking bananas over it and would take it to the Supreme Court, and then the Supreme Court would destroy it. But I'm just saying, you're not even trying it. You know what I mean? You're not even getting to that point. Before we get to the Trump shit here, let's continue.
Increased by around 58%.
What I can tell you from our members on the ground is they feel like safety has degraded.
Greg Regan is the president of the AFL-CIO's Transportation Trades Department.
there is a real impetus to go faster. And so we've seen that pressure decrease the inspection times from about 2 minutes down to an average of 30 to 45 seconds.
He says data from the Federal Railroad Administration shows the rate of accidents has increased over the last 10 years, particularly in rail yards. Yesterday, the Department of Transportation called on the entire industry to immediately make several changes, like using technology to improve inspections and replacing older tank cars with newer, more secure ones, something rail companies have long resisted and Congress has not made a priority.
We definitely need congressional action. We need some of the people who have stood with industry to stand on the side of safety instead.
Do you think East Palestine is a wake-up call?
I think that none of us can look at what happened there and say that everything should continue just the way it was before.
In a statement, Norfolk Southern said, "We are going to learn from this terrible accident and work with regulators and elected officials to improve railroad safety."
Norfolk Southern said, guys, we have a lot of learning to do. We have a lot of learning to do. We're gonna sit our white asses down and listen, okay? You don't understand. We are so sorry. We are so fucking sorry. Oh my God, we still haven't finished this.
Today, former President Trump will visit the area. He won 70% of the vote in the county in 2020. Nate?
Roxana, thank you.
Norfolk Southern, their CEO said, look, we put $1 billion a year into safety. We reinvested in our railroad. I think the question, though, from people watching this is, yeah, but you're making billions.
We put $1 billion into safety and then 10 into stock buybacks.
More than that.
Yes.
You had some excess. You could have done more. And also the length of that train, I mean, we're talking well over a mile, almost 2 miles in length. And did they take the time to do little safety things like move the heavier cars up front? So if there is a fire, you can stop the train more quickly. Maybe it never makes it to the town. These are the kind of questions that people are asking.
And I think the people there still don't know, are they in danger?